Hey guys, welcome back. And in today's video, we are going to be doing my week 16 NFL power rankings. Really interesting and weird week of the NFL season. Some big upsets, some teams that really didn't show up to play. A lot of really good defensive performances, not a ton of great offensive performances. A weird week to say the least, but pretty interesting Monday night. Had a good couple of games. The Raiders made things interesting late, but to no avail. They end up losing yet again. And we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to be ranking every team in the NFL from 32 to number one. And I'm really excited. So if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Some exciting news for those of you that have been here for a while. We finally got a new monitor. We got a new microphone. So I'm thrilled to be able to bring you guys some new content and film in a different way. I am just super blessed to be able to do this for you guys. And be sure to check out my Patreon page if you haven't already. It's $5 a month. It's some of the best work you can get on the NFL draft. It's got my full in-depth draft guide and big board with over 550 players on there, as well as weekly polls that you guys will be allowed to participate in. But without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with the number 32 team, that's going to be the New York Football Giants. Nothing has really changed for them. Just an awful performance against the Ravens. Lamar Jackson remains undefeated against NFC opponents, and nothing really changed in this game. To be quite honest with you, he was absolutely incredible. The defense didn't show up. Obviously, you're missing Dexter Lawrence, and the lack of a pass rush is there. The offense, Tommy DeVito goes down, Tim Boyle comes in, and this team just has absolutely no identity. The Daniel Jones cutting looks worse every week. And like, obviously, you guys were cutting him to try and get rid of the dead cap and different things like that. I understand that. But these are grown men, these are football players that are putting their lives on the line week in, week out. And you're basically telling them that yeah, we're tanking actively. It's just a complete joke of a franchise right now. The Mara family doesn't seem to have any control. And yeah, they've got no playmakers, no line. And I think as big of a Brian Dable guy as I am, it's getting to the point that I don't think he's going to be employed by the Giants next season. So we got him at 32, and they're probably going to be there for the rest of the season because, to be quite honest with you, I don't think they're winning another game this year. At number 31, we've got the Vegas Raiders. Now, Vegas, I considered moving up a little bit because this is a scrappy bunch of players. They've really made some strides the last few weeks. They were in a competitive game against Kansas City on Black Friday. We're in a competitive one here against the Falcons. We're down 12 points in the final 3 minutes, end up scoring a touchdown, forcing a stop, getting the ball back, drive. Ritter throws an interception on the second Hail Mary attempt, but this team's scrappy. I like some of the playmakers that they have. Obviously, Brock Bowers, but you're getting really good play from Jacoby Myers. And Amir Abdullah has really emerged for them as a really nice weapon for them. Do I think he's going to be the number one running back for them next year? Absolutely not. I still think running back is heavily in the cards for Vegas this year, but I like what we've seen from them. I think they've done a really solid job at staying in some of these close games. They're obviously not talented enough to win a lot of these games. And then when you look, Max Crosby is now out for the season. You're missing your best player. This is not a great roster either. I do think they're scrappy, but there's nothing really special about them. And obviously, without any quarterback or any defensive players that I really trust, you're going to be further down the list. So didn't move them up or down. I got them at 31. At number 30, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. They lose another one, a game that was kind of there for them. I thought Mac Jones played pretty well in this game, all things considered. Obviously, through the interception to Sauce Gardner late that ended up sealing the victory for the Jets. But overall, was decently impressed. I think the big talking point from this game, and rightfully so, is going to be Brian Thomas Jr., who had an incredible game. I believe he had 2 touchdowns, over 110 yards. I think he had like 11 to 14 receptions. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I thought he played a pretty good game overall. He's been the best rookie wide receiver this year. And I don't think a lot of us saw that coming. Obviously, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is getting a little bit too much hate. I still think Brian Thomas has had a better rookie season thus far. this Jags team has some building blocks that you feel pretty comfortable with. Brian Thomas Jr. has looked really good. Obviously, got Josh Hines Allen. I think Trayvon Walker has played decent for them. They've gotten some good play at times from some defenders. They still have a lot of holes. Thought that they've been similar. Obviously, you beat Tennessee last week. You're in this same sort of boat where they're scrappy. They'll be in some close games, but I don't think they're talented enough to win a lot of them. They drop another one and they stay at number 30. Continuing the trend of teams staying where they were the week prior, I got the Patriots staying at number 29. Really, really bad game from the offense. And that's really where we're going to have to start with this. The offense was awful all day long. Drake May, maybe his worst game as a pro. Now, there's a lot that goes into that. I think Gerard Mayo has done an awful job play calling, to be quite honest with you. There's a lot of controversy around him on if he should come back to coach next year. I don't think Robert Kraft is going to move on from him, unfortunately. But obviously, bad play calling. And then the offensive line. I think Vidarian Lowe graded out 55 out of 56 eligible tackles this weekend. He was abysmal for this Patriots team. He was under pressure all day against a really bad Cardinals defensive line. Not really ideal. The defense couldn't really stop Kyler Murray in the offense either. They're fine. I think they're going to get some good plays from the defense from time to time. Barmore's back. I like Christian Gonzalez. They've got some pieces that I like long-term on this roster. But overall, I mean, I don't know how you feel comfortable with this team as a potential contender down the road with Gerard Mayo as the head coach. It seems like time and time again, he's putting this team in harmful situations, and they're unable to really get over the hump because of his lack of adjustments, lack of creative play calling. And from the Patriots, I kind of want to go get one of those type of players or one of those type of coaches. Unfortunately, I think the Crafts are stubborn. I don't think they're going to move on from a guy that embodies the Patriot way. They're going to kind of beat towards the bottom until they can change that. And they're lacking weapons. They're lacking a line. And it's a shame because I think Drake May is a really good quarterback, but they stay at number 29. At number 28, a team that I got to see in person, a gift for my birthday. We went to go see the Cincinnati Bengals, Tennessee Titans game. And Tennessee was not good. I thought the defense, seeing the defense up close is really interesting. T'Vondre Sweat has one of the more memorable plays of the year where he just rips the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands, ends up taking it for like a 30-yard return, has a massive stiff arm. I mean, he's a freak, and he had a really good game. I thought Jeff Simmons made some plays. The defense forces the early turnover. Burrow threw 2 picks in this game. It was a decent game from the defense. I thought they did a really good job of creating pressure. It seemed like Burrow was running for his life a lot back there, but offensively, I don't know. Obviously, I didn't go back, watch the broadcast. At the stadium, the Nissan erupted when Mason Rudolph came on the field. As a Colts fan, I kind of felt bad for Will Levis. I don't want to see to see your own fan base basically cheering that you're getting taken out, it's a pretty bad sign. But he was god-awful in this game. The pocket presence is horrible. The inability to read coverage and the 3 interceptions was brutal. Mason Rudolph is not much of an upgrade, but I definitely think he gives you a higher floor. Will Levis, I don't think, is an NFL quarterback at this point. He has been awful for the Titans, and I think it's a real shame because at this point, the Titans are 3-11. You are actively rooting for the Raiders and some of these teams that are in front of you in the draft order to win a football game. Because at this point, unless you trade up, I don't think you're getting a quarterback, especially with Drew Aller deciding to go back to school. So what do you do if you're a Titans fan? Not really sure, but Will Levis was awful. J.C. Latham also had a really bad game. I think he had like 4 false start penalties in this one. On the bright side, shout out to my guy Tyjae Spears. He had some nice plays in this one, but I got the Titans at 28. I still think it's a pretty bad football team. At number 27, we got the Cleveland Browns. It seems like the Jameis Winston magic is starting to wear off. Back-to-back weeks where he's been a virtual liability for Cleveland, turning the ball over in crucial points of the game. And he just hasn't been very good for this Browns team the last couple of weeks. And it's kind of the Jameis experience. You're going to get some high highs. You're going to get some incredibly low lows. I'm not really, too concerned about Jameis. Obviously, he was never the long-term answer for the Cleveland franchise. But what I will say, the inability to run the football is a concern. I don't think Jerome Ford has been very good this year. Obviously, Nick Chubb, he goes out with a foot injury, which is obviously not what you want to see after the brutal injury he suffered last year. So I think the Browns, I mean, they've got a lot of needs. I think O line is a position that you could definitely look to draft. I think edge is a position, quarterback, obviously. I think Ashton Genty might be the guy I take for Cleveland in my next mock draft because I don't think this is a Browns team. If you go back to when they were making their playoff runs, it was because they were able to run the ball. They can't run the ball right now. I think they need that type of player on this team that can really be a difference maker on the ground. On the other hand, the defense didn't have the greatest of games against the Chiefs. I mean, it's the Chiefs. It is what it is. They got off to an early, quick touchdown, and I thought it was fine. Nothing that really moved me, but I got him at 27. I think I was a little too high on the Browns to begin with. At number 26, we got the New Orleans Saints. Now, Derek Carr did not play in this game. Jake Haener got the start, was awful in the first half. They went to Spencer Rattler in the second half. They were able to get some stuff going. They didn't move up or down for me. I think that a lot of the concerns with the Saints ring true. The lack of playmakers, the lack of an elite quarterback, the offensive line, really every position on the offense, I think, is quietly in need for the Saints. On the defensive side of the ball, I thought they did a decent job of creating pressure on Jaden Daniels. The secondary was okay in this game. The touchdown to Terry McLaurin, the first one, Jaden makes an incredible play. They get pressure. He's got to evade the pressure, and he throws it into double coverage. It's just a perfectly thrown ball. I don't really know what the Saints could have done differently on that play. They ended up making it a close game towards the end, but obviously they missed a 2-point conversion. Didn't move up or down for me. Another one of these teams that's scrappy because I think Darren Rizzi has these guys bought in, but this Saints team is not very good, and they're going to stay at number 26 for me this week. At number 25, we've got the Carolina Panthers dropping 2 spots. I'm still kind of in on this Panthers team. Weird game against the Cowboys. The first time they're favored in, I think it was 2 seasons. That's an absurd stat that the Panthers have not been favored in a single game in the NFC South, mind you, that has been awful in 2 years. Yeah, they just didn't come to play. I thought the offense looked a little flat. Bryce Young didn't have the superstar moments that we saw a couple of weeks ago from him. Didn't think he was bad. The 83-yard touchdown to Jalen Coker, big play. Shout out to my guy, Jalen Coker. Was a huge fan of him coming out of Holy Cross. Adam Thielen has a decent game. It's the defense, though. They don't really have a lockdown guy outside of J.C. Horn. Cooper Rush had all day to throw, and he was just picking apart this defense. They've really got to improve this defense in the draft, and I like the offense. I think they got playmakers. They went up against a pretty good Cowboys defense, and I'll give them that. It's not something I'm concerned about offensively, but defensively, I think there are a lot of concerns with the inability to create a pass rush, the inability to really have a shutdown corner. They've gotten kind of torched the last few weeks. They're another team that I think the offense is good enough to keep them in games. Fortunately, this offense yesterday against the Cowboys, it was not good enough to keep them in this game. But I got them at 25. I still think they're better than some of these other teams because I think Bryce Young's playing at a really high level right now. I like some of the playmakers. I think the offensive line is good, and I like Dave Canales better than just about any coach that we've talked about up to this point. That gets them a couple of points here, but the Panthers are still towards the bottom half of the league, and I don't really think anyone's questioning that. At number 24, we've got the Chicago Bears remaining the same. This has been a massive disappointment for the Bears this year, a team that I picked to be the final wild card spot in the NFC. I'll admit I was wrong about this Bears team. Just a brutal year. Caleb Williams didn't have a bad game. I thought he looked pretty sharp. Jonathan Grenard was out of this world in this game. And it just goes to show this Bears team needs to address offensive line in the draft. They don't have a tackle that I trust. I like Darnell Wright, was never one of my favorite guys, even as a Tennessee fan. I thought he was maybe a slightly overdrafted. He's been fine. That's not really the concern. I don't know if Braxton Jones can be your long-term left tackle. why a lot of people were saying that the Bears could have drafted Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu over Romo Dunze because offensive line was still a big need for this team. They ended up taking Kieran Amagaji in the third. I don't really see him as a longtime starter in this league. This team needs to be able to protect Caleb Williams because when he's got time, he can make some high-level throws. They just aren't giving him time to make those reads. On the other hand, the defense wasn't very good. I thought that the offense for Minnesota was just better all around, and it didn't seem like they could really get stops when they needed it. So, yeah, I got the Bears staying at 24. Really disappointing year from a team that had high expectations. I think there are some positives from this year. Unfortunately, too many negatives, and they're going to sit at number 24. At number 23, we've got the New York Jets. And where were these Jets 4 or 5 weeks ago when they still had a chance? The last 2 weeks, this Jets team has looked completely different. Now, obviously, they had the overtime collapse against Miami where they almost won that game. The offense was really sharp. Aaron Rodgers throws for his first 300-yard game in weeks. Then they play Jacksonville this week. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams looked out of this world. This is the combination we saw in Green Bay. And dare I say it, I think the Jets should probably bring back Aaron Rodgers next year. And I know that's controversial after the season that this has been. And it's just been a tumultuous year for this New York Jets franchise. But if you really look into the numbers and don't listen to the media narratives, Aaron Rodgers hasn't been that bad. He really hasn't. The interceptions haven't been great. And yeah, he hasn't been the high Aaron Rodgers, figuratively and literally, that we've seen in the past. But he's still making really good throws. And the last 2 weeks, he has shown that he can still be a damn good quarterback at the NFL level, making high-level throws, these incredible shots down the middle to Devontae Adams, these deep balls. This is the Jets offense that we thought we would be getting. Defensively, maybe not the greatest day. Sauce Gardner has an interception, his first of the year, big time play from him. There are positives with this Jets team, which didn't seem possible a couple of weeks ago. I'm kind of back in on the Jets for next season. Obviously, I think their season this year is over, but I don't think this is a Jets team that I don't think winning hurts them. They can build some momentum. If you get to 6-10, win your next 2 games, you build some momentum, maybe play spoiler a little bit. I like that for this team because I think that's what they need. I like the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams connection. I think that is better than we've seen it all year. It's been like that the last couple of weeks. There's some positives in New York I'm feeling pretty confident in, and I got the Jets going up 4 to number 23. At number 22, we got the Atlanta Falcons. I don't really know how Falcons fans can feel good about this team. You're 7-7. This is the most painful watch every single week, it seems like. The defense, I think, is playing pretty well. I'm going to be completely honest. I really like the way they're utilizing Caden Ellis. I talked about this in last week's episode. They're dialing him up on blitzes, which is what Raheem Morris did a really good job of doing in LA as the defensive coordinator, timing his blitzes perfectly. And when you got a rusher like Caden Ellis who can get into the backfield with legit quickness, that's the type of player that you love to have on your roster. I think Caden Ellis is a really, really solid linebacker who's really flying under the radar. They're getting solid play from him, and I think the defense is really stepping up. On the other hand, the offense is just bad. It's bad. I think Zach Robinson was a offensive coordinator that a lot of people had some hope with. Sean McVay's done a really good job of building this coach tree and these coordinators that go on to have success at other places. And a lot of people thought Zach Robinson could have been the next guy, and it has been awful. It just looks like Arthur Smith 2.0. And it leads to wonder, why did they even fire Arthur Smith? Because they're still not utilizing their playmakers. I thought Drake London was pretty good in this game. Bijan is Bijan. And when he gets the ball, he's out of this world. None of the concerns with me are about the playmakers, though. It's about the quarterback. And how much longer is Raheem Morris going to stick by Kirk Cousins? Because he just doesn't want to get hit. The arm strength is not there anymore. The footwork has been bad. The pocket presence has been bad. And I just have been really, really disappointed. I love Kirk Cousins. He's one of my favorite players that I've watched the last few years. Love the way he carries himself on and off the field, and I think he's been really underrated throughout his career. But right now, I can't positively say that Kirk Cousins is a starting quarterback in the NFL. He has been a liability for Atlanta the last few weeks. And I think Michael Penix gives you a better chance to win. You're only a game back from Tampa right now. But with the way the offense is playing, I can't move you up, especially when Kirk Cousins is kind of the reason you almost lost this game, not being able to convert it on third down. And yeah, I'm not really bought in on this Falcons team, and I've got him at 22. I just don't see it. And this is a completely, I think where I stand on the Falcons versus where a lot of people are going to stand is a lot different. I know I read the comments. A lot of people think I'm too low on them, but from what I've seen week in and week out, this Falcons team is not very good, and I got them at 22. At 21, we'll get this over with quick because I don't want to talk about it still. The Colts dropped 4 spots. Their playoff hopes are officially over. Anthony Richardson was bad. That's all I've got to say about that. Just wasn't good enough to win this game. I thought the play calling was questionable, to say the least. I thought the first quarter, you did a really good job of playing into Anthony Richardson's strengths, utilizing him on design quarterback runs. Second half was a completely different game plan for whatever reason, despite going into the half with the lead. The defense came to play, which is a positive. That doesn't happen very often in Colts games these days, that the defense does show up. You were forcing turnovers. The secondary was flying around. Zaire Franklin, EJ Speed, those guys had good games, and they were able to create a pass rush up front. That's great. Jonathan Taylor makes one of the most boneheaded plays I've seen all year long, fumbling the ball in the end zone and basically fumbling the playoffs away. 2 things I will say. Number one, I criticized the play calling. What I will not criticize, and I know a lot of Colts fans are going to do this, is the trick play. This is going to be the play that's getting a lot of buzz. Obviously, if you guys didn't see it, Anthony Richardson throws a screen pass to Adonai Mitchell that was backwards. Adonai Mitchell is going to throw it back across the field to Anthony Richardson, hoping to hit one of these streaking receivers up the middle, confuse the defense. I thought it was a great play call. I thought it was poorly executed. If that play works, it's probably a touchdown. Adonai Mitchell doesn't see Nick Bonito, who's spying the play, ends up reading it perfectly. He ends up picking it off, returning it to the house. That's not really something you can control. I actually thought the play call was really good, especially in the situation when the offense is struggling to move the football. The other thing I will say, I'm still not right. I'm not ready to fire Chris Ballard with the talent that he's been able to acquire on this roster. I think that you keep him around for at least one more year. And I know a lot of Colts fans are going to disagree with that, but I think Chris Ballard should stay for the 2025 season. Yeah, one of the most disappointing losses of my life as a Colts fan, because I legitimately thought if you win this game, there's a very good chance you can get into the playoffs with the tiebreaker over Denver, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So got them dropping 4 spots down to number 21. At number 20, we've got the Miami Dolphins. Once again, Dolphins fans, I don't want to be the one to break the news to you. I'm sure you've heard it by now. Tua is not a good NFL quarterback. He just isn't. And I like Tua as a person. I think he carries himself really well. He's a very mature player. Time and time again, when the lights are bright in a must-win game, Tua actively tries to throw the ball away. Literally, 2 interceptions to Derek Stingley in this game, 2 very costly interceptions that probably also cost the Dolphins their chance at making the playoffs. Just a brutal game from Tua that you cannot have if you are the Dolphins. Your playoff hopes are very much alive. It's the cold weather games and it's the primetime games with Tua that it just seems like he is never prepared for. Not to mention, he's still diving headfirst as a runner. What are you doing, Tua? Do you not remember that you've had 4 concussions now and you're probably 1 concussion away from being forced to retire? Like, probably should stop doing that. It's weird. I think Mike McDaniel is an excellent head coach, and I know I'm in the minority of people because I think the play calling is really good. I think that this team has legit weapons. I feel like Tua's holding this team back, and I do kind of put some blame on McDaniel for that because he's really playing conservative with Tua and not asking him to do a lot. And with a team that's 6-8 trying to get into the playoffs, I don't think you can be doing that with your quarterback right now. I just don't. I think the Dolphins are in a really tough spot because you gave to us so much money this offseason, and he probably didn't deserve it at the time. He definitely doesn't deserve it now. And yeah, I don't feel good about this Dolphins team moving forward. They're an older roster, don't have a lot of young, exciting talent outside of Devon Achane, Jalen Waddle, and maybe you throw Chop Robinson in there. You got some big impending free agents. I think the Dolphins might have one of the bleakest outlooks in the NFL right now because I really don't trust the quarterback. So I got him at number 20. At number 19, we got the San Francisco 49ers. I think it's officially over for them. You get Dre Greenlaw back. Message one of my Niners fan friends. He was super excited that Greenlaw's coming back. I'm like, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to matter. The season's over. Had a great game. Shout out Dre Greenlaw. It's great to see him back on the field after he tore his Achilles at the Super Bowl. I mean, this Niners team, what's there to say that hasn't been said already? This season's been cursed from the jump. Everyone's going to talk about the McCaffrey Achilles tendonitis. It was cursed before then. When Ricky Pearsall gets shot, I mean, that was a bad sign in of itself. He's out for a little bit. Then you have the Achilles tendonitis. Javon Hargrave tears his tricep. You've got Brandon Ayuk tears his ACL. Nick Bosa, Brock, like every single key player on this Niners team seems to have dealt with an injury at one point or another. And except George Kittle. George Kittle's been awesome this year. And yeah, it just sucks because everyone knows that this Niners team is incredibly talented. What do you do next if you're the Niners? Because Brock Purdy's got a big payday coming up, and without all these weapons, what is he? I think the Niners should pay him. I think he has earned his money. He's gotten this team to a Super Bowl and an NFC championship in 2 games, 2 seasons. That's just you. That's not a system quarterback. Case Keenum was a system quarterback. I think if you give him a second year in Minnesota, they don't get to the Super Bowl. I can tell you that. Brock Purdy makes some high-level throws. He's also got some areas that he needs to improve. I don't really know what's next. The Kyle Shanahan trade rumors are going to be really hot, and if I'm the Niners, I know a lot of Niners fans aren't going to like it. I kind of love it for them, though. Not just because, look, Kyle Shanahan, great head coach, struggled in the big games. You could probably find a great head coach with all of this talent that can get you there. But you also will get an extra first-round pick in the deal, which I don't think is a bad thing for this team at all. So we'll see what ends up happening. I ultimately expect them to kind of run it back, and we'll see where it goes. But I got them dropping 3. Just a brutal Thursday night performance against the Rams. At number 18, we got the Dallas Cowboys. Really solid performance after a team that I was pretty down on last week. Looked really poor, the offense against Cincinnati, which is something you don't want to say when you're going up against that Cincinnati defense. It's looked better the last couple of weeks. I'll give them that. But Dallas comes into this game as an underdog against Carolina, which a lot of people had a lot of problems with. Then it turns out a lot of people were right because they came in and absolutely dominated Carolina really from the beginning. Micah Parsons, the defense, they were solid, but it was the offense. We talked about it in the Carolina part of this video. Carolina doesn't really have a defense that can stop anybody, and Cooper Rush was really good in this game. They got CeeDee Lamb involved. They found ways to – I really like the way that they're finding ways to get Rico Dowdle the ball, and he's making plays and showing up for this team right now. They had a pretty solid performance, and there's not really much else to say about it. I don't think Dallas is a playoff team, despite them having a relatively easy schedule. The rest of the way, they are what they are. They're probably between 22 and 18, anywhere from Atlanta to my number 17 team. You could probably put in any order you want. But the offense looks good. They were able to move the ball effectively. Got them at number 18. At number 17, we've got the Arizona Cardinals. They jump back up 2 spots. They're 7-7, still very much in the mix. 1 game out of the NFC West playoff race. And obviously, Seattle's got the tiebreaker over them, which is going to be a pain to try and get over that. And the Rams, which the Cardinals do play again, it's going to be really interesting to see how this division ends up shaping up because every team is still in the race. Atlanta had a really good game, though. They got Marvin Harrison involved early in this one. Kyler Murray looked really sharp. You got James Conner. The weapons showed up today, and the defense, we talked about just how bad the New England offense was. it was mostly because Arizona, I thought, played a really solid defensive game. They were able to create a pass rush on Drake May, and they just made life difficult up front. That's what you want to see from this Jonathan Gannon defense. We've seen it at times. We've also seen them just completely not show up at other times. Overall, they're fine. Again, kind of in this same sort of tier as like the Dolphins, Cowboys, Niners. Like they're good. I don't really know what they are yet. I still think they can win this division. The schedule's pretty easy if you look at it the rest of the way. So we'll see where it goes. Good win for Arizona, though, to get back in the win column after what had been a rough couple of weeks. And hopefully they can get some momentum moving forward. I'm rooting for this team for my guy, Michael, but got them sitting at number 17. At number 16, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that I saw up close, and there were a couple of notes that I did take away from this game. Number one, Joe Burrow, unbelievable performance. I know people are going to talk about the 2 interceptions. The pocket presence and the feel that he has up close, it's some of the best quarterback play you are going to see. The dude will not go down. Tennessee had a good pass rush in this game. They were able to create pressure, seemed like consistently, and Joe Burrow would find his outlets, would step up in the pocket and just keep his eyes downfield. He made so many big plays. He had the touchdown on the second drive that was like that. The touchdown to T. Higgins, the 40-yard play, very similar. He was awesome in this game. Not really many notes there. The defense, though, the defense is starting to seem to getting things together. Granted, you played Tennessee and you played Dallas the last couple of weeks, so take that as you will. I like what we've seen from the defense, though. The secondary, Jordan Battle obviously fumbles the ball in the back of the end zone. That's a stupid mistake that shouldn't happen, but I thought they looked really solid defensively. They threw some really interesting disguises at Tennessee. Will Levis obviously threw 3 picks, and they picked off Mason Rudolph as well. I think there were like 10 turnovers total in this game. It wasn't a clean game by either team. What I will say, though, and the area that really concerns me about Cincinnati is the pre-snap penalties. I think they had like 140 yards that they lost due to penalty in this game. Yeah, that's not happening in the playoffs. You cannot let that happen. This team felt very undisciplined. Now, they went up against another really bad football team, which helps, but and against a legit like playoff team, that's not going to fly. And I was a little bit worried about that for Cincinnati. And when you see it up close, it's there. I don't think this team's very disciplined. That being said, still a really solid performance. I think they're back up to the upper half of the league because the offense is so good. They are one of the most unstoppable offenses in football. The defense can play a little bit better, play consistently, you feel good. Unfortunately, Sam Hubbard's going to be out for the year now. That could be detrimental. I don't think there's a playoff team, but I think they're kind of right on the border right now. They're playing better than the other teams we've mentioned. I've got them at 16. At number 15, we've got the Seattle Seahawks. Really brutal performance from both sides of the ball. Offensively, we'll get to in a second, but defensively, just didn't seem like they had any answers for what Green Bay wanted to do. They couldn't stop Josh Jacobs. They couldn't stop the pass game. Christian Watson had a good one. Jaden Reed was playing well. Romeo Doubs made the unbelievable catch in the back of the end zone. It didn't really seem like Seattle had any answers defensively. They forced a turnover. Ernest Jones made a nice play, but nothing that really excited you on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, though, this is where I have my concerns. Geno didn't have a great game, and then he has a knee injury. Sam Howell has to come in. Sam Howell looked like the worst quarterback I've seen in the NFL all year long. He was awful in this game. If Geno's not good to go, I'm really worried for this Seattle team. Like, really, really worried because Geno has been playing really, really good this season for Seattle. Didn't have the greatest first half against Green Bay, which I think a lot of people are going to talk about, but the rest of the season has been really solid for this team. If he is out for any period of time, you cannot afford any losses right now in this division because one loss is going to set you back. You've got Arizona right on your heels. Granted, you've got the tiebreaker, and now you have lost the number 1 spot to the Rams. I'm getting concerned about Seattle. Now, I think the defense is good. I think they played better the last few weeks. We'll see what they're able to do, but I do think there are some concerns, and I've got them at number 15. At number 14, we got the Washington Commanders. They're 9-5. I know Commanders fans, they're very vocal. They think I'm too low on their team. And what I have to say about that is show up in the second half of these games, because the last two performances that we've seen against Tennessee, they got off to a blazing hot start, and they almost blew that game against the Titans, and they let the defense let up, and they almost choked. They had the bye week, then they play the Saints. They get off to another blazing hot start against this Saints offense, and then they almost choke it away. The Saints have the game-winning touchdown, and they missed a 2-point conversion. They almost lost this game. They have to be able to show up in the second half of these games, because if they can't, they're going to get destroyed in the playoffs. And honestly, I'm sorry, Commanders fans. I think you're probably going to get destroyed in the playoffs anyways, because I just don't think this roster is ready yet. They've had a really favorable schedule, but if you look at when they've had to face legit teams, it hasn't looked pretty. They don't have a big statement win. They've got 2 wins against the Giants. They've got a win against the Saints. They've got a win against the Panthers. I believe they beat the Falcons earlier this season. You beat the Cowboys. Needless to say, you just haven't beat anybody that you feel confident in for the rest of the season. Jaden Daniels is playing great football. Terry McLaurin, that looks like one of the best wide receiver quarterback duos in the league. And Marshawn Lattimore, you get him in the lineup finally. He didn't get targeted in this game. He was locked down against his former team. Some positives to take away from it. The first half's great, but Dan Quinn was the head coach of that Falcons team that blew the 28-3 lead. And that's now back-to-back games where he's almost blown another double-digit lead that he had going into the half. So something I'm kind of keeping on my mind when I watch this team, because I think he's got to get better at that. He's got to improve. And I've got them sitting at number 14. At number 13, we've got the LA Chargers dropping 4 spots. Can't have that performance against Tampa. Now, I like this Chargers team. I think they're a playoff team. I think the defense has played tough. You've gotten great play from Tarheeb Still and Cam Hart in the secondary, but man, what a really tough way to lose this game. This is a defense that coming into the week with the number 1 scoring defense. They force turnovers and they score points off of those turnovers. And in this game, they forced turnovers, but they forced turnovers early. And then after that, this Tampa offense got clicking, and it just seemed like an engine that could not be stopped. This team was incredible. They moved the ball with ease against this Chargers defense. And that's going to lead to some question marks for the rest of the season for this team. I'm not really sure what to make of them. Justin Herbert hasn't looked great the last couple of weeks. To get the early touchdown to Ladd McConkey, it's great that he's back in the offense. Other than that, the offense didn't really feel explosive. And obviously, J.K. Dobbins has been out, and he was a big part of the early season success. However long you have Gus Edwards back there, I feel a little bit worried about this offense, because I think J.K. Dobbins gives you a level of dynamism and explosiveness that I don't really think Gus Edwards gives you. And I definitely think it opens things up for Justin Herbert. Didn't have a very good game. And so we'll see what's going to end up happening. They play Thursday night against Denver. That's going to be a really fun game to watch for the playoff race. And yeah, I've got the Chargers sitting at number 13. Really ugly performance, and one that I definitely think they got to bounce back from. At number 12, we've got the Houston Texans staying the same. Nothing that really moved me in this game. Derek Stingley was incredible, had 2 picks, the game-sealing interception. This Texans team clinched a playoff berth with the Colts loss and their win. They're going to end up representing the AFC South in the playoffs for the second year in a row. I think this is the team that if I'm Denver, the Ravens, the Chargers, this is the team that I want to play, because outside of Derek Stingley and maybe the occasional pass rush, they feel like they are susceptible to big plays. We've talked about it all year long. The safety play has not been good in Houston. Offensively, the interior offensive line not been very good. You went up against a Dolphins pass rush that I don't really like, unfortunately. So obviously, Stroud had more time. He made good plays in this game, but I don't think this Texans team is really that impressive when you look at the advanced statistics. When Stroud has been under pressure, he's been a disaster this year. Interceptions. He had a good game against Miami. I don't want to take that away from him, but it was Miami, and I don't think very highly of Miami. So I need to see them beat someone reliable before I can move them up. And I've got them at number 12 until I can see that. At number 11, we've got the LA Rams. The Rams are playing some good football right now. Yeah, they didn't score a touchdown in the game against the Niners, but the defense came to play. They played really tough. They played a physical brand of football, which is unlike Sean McVay teams of the past. Usually, this is a team that, and these defensive type of battles would not be ready. But the way that they're playing defensively has been really interesting to see. You've got these young rookies that are on this team that are playing excellent football for you right now. Whether that's Jared Verse or Cameron Kitchens or Braden Fisk, they've got guys that are able to make plays on the defensive side of the ball. But I also really like the addition of the run game. I think Kyron Williams, he was good last year. I think he's taken his game up another level from where he was. This is a very dual threat type of offense. You're going to get Matthew Stafford with these weapons that are going to make big plays, but Kyron Williams adds some interesting an interesting mix to this team with his vision and his contact balance as a runner. This is a team that if I'm in the playoffs right now, I don't want to see a hot Sean McVay Rams team. I think that this team is a sneaky Super Bowl contender. I'll say that much. I love this Rams team. I got them at number 11. At number 10, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Unbelievable performance from their offense. Bucky Irving has been great, but it was Mike Evans who, once again, why are we even doing this with the Hall of Fame questions? He is a Hall of Fame lock at this point. He is doing unbelievable things week in, week out, year in and year out. And Tampa, which a few weeks ago, it didn't look like they had a single chance to win this division with the tiebreaker being over Atlanta and Atlanta looking like they had a favorable schedule. Atlanta lost some easy ones, and now the Bucs have the lead of this division by a game, and they're dominating right now. They've got the run game right now with Bucky Irving. You've obviously got Mike Evans, who's playing really good, and he's healthy again. Jalen McMillan's been a nice piece, but Baker Mayfield, the confidence and the swagger. This is why I think Tampa is another one of these teams. And I think if they're a matchup that you have in the playoffs, I don't know that I feel comfortable with that if I'm Green Bay or if I'm Minnesota, who are probably going to be those two wild card teams, or even Washington even. This team is really physical. They're really tough. And when you've got a quarterback that comes in with this level of confidence and swagger, it's never a good thing for the other team. I love the way Baker's playing right now. I think Tampa is a really good team that's playing great football at the right time. They're getting hot. I got them at number 10. At number 9, we got the Denver Broncos. I'm higher on the Broncos than most people. This team is really good. Bo Nix, bad game. I think he had 3 interceptions in this game. And this team really struggled to move the ball offensively all day long. Where did they get points? The defense. You get Nick Bonito. He's got a pick 6 in this game to add points to your board. Bo Nix ends up playing pretty well in the second half, at least comparatively to where he was in the first. He makes some plays. They end up getting on the board, and this team's a really solid football team. The defense is out of this world. Pat Surtain goes down. It's one to monitor because if Surtain goes down for any extended period of time, the secondary is really thin. Riley Moss is already out, and Pat Surtain, I believe going into the week, he was second in Defensive Player of the Year voting. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at all if he gets number 1. You got Pat Surtain sitting right up here. Got a couple of his autographs at camp this summer. Love the way he's been playing. I love the way Nick Benito's playing. He's playing again at a Defensive Player of the Year type of caliber level. He's been out of this world as a pass rusher. He's got 2 pick 6s in the last 3 weeks for this team. This team's just really balanced. The only concern is, can they run the ball effectively, which up to this point they have proven is a resounding no, but we'll see what they're able to accomplish. I love the way they're playing. They're tough. They're physical. And this is the type of team that I think Sean Payton envisioned this year, and they're playing good football. I got them at number 9. At number 8, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers dropping 2 spots. Really ugly loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, so we'll get to in a little bit. They just never really felt like they were in this game, and then TJ Watt ends up going down with an injury, which can't happen if you are the Steelers. That's your most important player. If he's out, I think that really hurts the ceiling of this team in the playoffs. I didn't think it was a bad day by any means, but the offense just felt really stagnant. Didn't really feel like they could move the ball effectively. And the secondary, outside of Joey Porter Jr., I've had concerns about the cornerback room for a while, and it kind of showed. They got lit up in this game, the secondary, quite a few times, and something that I don't feel confident in. So I've got the Steelers at number 8. Not the greatest performance, but not a performance that's completely ruining my chances for them this year. At number 7, we got the Green Bay Packers staying the same. They're 10-4. I'm going to be completely upfront and transparent with you guys right now. I'm not backing away from my Packers win the Super Bowl bet that I made early in the season. I genuinely think that's a very real possibility still. Look at the way that this team is playing right now. They're missing Luke Musgrave from the tight end room, and they have so many weapons that can beat you in so many ways. Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs. That receiver trio is playing excellent. Josh Jacobs is top 4 in the league in rushing right now. He's playing great. Jordan Love is healthy, and he's making the plays that Jordan Love was making at the back end of last year that made Green Bay so hard to beat. Defensively, Rashawn Gary is really ramping it up. I love what we're seeing from Edger and Cooper as a blitz linebacker. They're finding ways to utilize him. And, oh, yeah, they're missing Javon Bullard and Jair Alexander, who are 2 of their most important players on the back end. This team is really talented on both sides of the ball. They absolutely dominated Seattle, a team that they went on the road and dominated Seattle in Seattle. That doesn't happen very often. This team is loaded. I love what they have going for them right now. They don't move up or down just because I think the league is so loaded right now, but I think Green Bay is the number 7 team in football. At number 6, I didn't update this. It is the Baltimore Ravens. Really great performance. Lamar Jackson with an all-time Lamar performance. We're starting to really – the MVP race is close. Lamar is having the best season of his career, I think. 3 interceptions this year, which it doesn't feel like any 3 have been his fault, to be completely honest with you. He is just playing at an otherworldly level. A lot of people were worried about, including myself, the pocket passing. When he's got to get into drop back passing, it's not very good throughout his career. This year, he's been out of this world. He has been this has been the best season of his career. You're getting great play from Zay Flowers. You're getting great play from Mark Andrews finally, and Rashad Bateman has really turned into the type of player that they thought they were going to be getting. This offense is playing great. The defense, we'll see. Obviously, went up against the Giants. Not really sure how I feel about the Giants right now. They're the worst team in football, but good win nonetheless. And I thought that the way that Lamar played was worthy of jumping them up 2 spots. At number 5, we've got the Minnesota Vikings remaining at the same spot. And great dominant win over the Bears. Not really many notes here. Sam Darnold, solid game. Justin Jefferson gets on the board. The defense, I love this defense, and I think they're going to be a really tough defense to go up against because Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner on some sets. I mean, they've got multiple guys that can rush the passer. They're athletic, they're fast, and this is a really, really good football team. I don't have many notes on here. They're the best coach team in football. I got them at number 5. At number 4, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs. We will see on the Patrick Mahomes injury. It seems like this happens every single year. Again, not the greatest performance in the world. The defense played really well. Trent McDuffie had an awesome game in this one. You got good play up front from the pass rush. Xavier Worthy gets it going in the receiving game. Not a lot of negatives about this Chiefs performance, to be quite honest with you. I thought they played a fine game. Travis Kelce, I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about him. I get it. They're trying to preserve him for the playoffs, but this would have been a good game to maybe try and see anything. He just doesn't look the same this year. They're 13-1. This was a good win for them. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes goes down. He's considered week to week. I would be shocked if he misses any time. It happens every year. I'm sure he's going to give it a go and he'll be fine. But definitely something we're going to keep our eye on. But we got him, the Chiefs at number 4. At number 3, the Lions dropped 2 spots. It says number 1. My apologies. They are at number 3. Yeah, the injuries I just can't defend right now. And obviously the onside kick with 10 minutes to go, bad. Honestly, this has nothing to do with the game performance. I mean, you scored nearly 40 points against a Bills team that's really good. I mean, it is what it is. Defensively, the injuries are just out. They're adding up like I've never seen before. Aiden Hutchinson snapped his leg in half. Aleem McNeil's now out for the year. Carlton Davis is out for an extended period of time. David Montgomery is now likely out for the year. It's just injury on top of injury on top of injury for this Lions team. And that's going to hurt them in the playoffs. They don't have a lot of depth left on the defensive side of the football. And they dropped 2 spots. They ended up losing this game too. Well, we'll just talk about them now. The number 2 team, the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo is playing unbelievable offensively. The run game, the pass game. I mean, I don't think I've seen an offense that has – I mean, I think this Bills team is in conversation for one of the best offenses I've ever seen before. Their ability to run the football with Josh Allen and James Cook is incredible. Josh Allen, to me, I know Lamar is like having a great season. I think the MVP race is close, but I think Josh Allen is right now should be the easy MVP favorite. What else does he need to do? He's 11-3. The Bills have the second best record in the AFC. The offense is the best and most explosive offense in the league. I mean, I don't know what more you could ask for from him. The concern is going to be the defense. His back-to-back weeks that they've allowed 40-point games. They've allowed some big performances this year. I don't like that going into the playoffs. You're not going to win a Super Bowl by allowing the Chiefs to score 40. Now, are the Chiefs going to score 40? Probably not. But either way, definitely something that I'm a little bit concerned about with Buffalo. But the offense is just so good, so explosive. I genuinely don't know how you stop this team. I got them at number 2. But at number 1, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. It's time that they finally get the flowers that they deserve. Jalen Hurts, great game, showed the arm strength, showed that he could be a passing quarterback. It was something that people were talking about the last few weeks, I guess. I mean, there are concerns I have with Hurts. And he showed that he could be that quarterback that we want him to be. On the other hand, A.J. Brown has a big game. You obviously know what you're getting from Saquon, but it's the defense. I think this defense is right now the best in the league. Vic Fangio has doing a heck of a job coaching this defense. The secondary is playing excellent with young players in Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. The linebackers are playing great, and they've got multiple guys up front that can rush the passer. This team feels like a team that can win the Super Bowl right now. With the way that they're playing on both sides of the ball, I think that this team could very well win a Super Bowl. And let me know, who do you guys think should be the number 1 team in the league this week? Would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you are new. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.